Well, hello there. It's good to see you. I think we haven't met before. So let me introduce myself. My name is Philipp Weiler, and I'm a self-proclaimed filmmaker from Austria. Nowadays, everyone's gotta be what they wanna be, so I became a filmmaker. And this will be the behind the scenes of my entry for the Light This Location Contest 2019. Okay, now, this is usually what I wake up to when I got one of these great ideas for a video in the middle of the night. Some barely readable notes on a piece of junk paper. Now let's turn these into a usable script. Ta-da! It's finished! While writing the script, I made sure to keep the rules of the contest in the back of my head. Which, by the way, are the following. Your film must take place in one singular location. Your film entry must be under 5 minutes. No exceptions. Whew. That's strict. Each film must audibly incorporate the word accent into their finished film. And submissions must include a behind-the-scenes video explaining how you lit and shot your film. Which I'm doing right now. So, in our film, there will be 2 guys driving in a car. But since we have to stick to the rules of the contest, we will be using a technique called the poor man's process. So we will just film a parked car and simulate the rest. So we're driving, but we're not. Does that make any sense? Now, before we head into production, let's talk about gear. Now, we got some cool toys to play around with. First of all, the camera. It's a Canon C100. An older model, only shoots 1080p, but it checks out. Lens-wise, we got the classic Canon 70-200 2.8 with image stabilization, and the Volimax 24mm 1.5 Cine lens. In other countries, this brand is also called Rokinon or Samyang, I guess. Audio. We are using 2 wired lavalier microphones from Audio-Technica. These are pretty cheap ones, I guess $30 each. And these are wired into a Zoom H4n recorder, who then transmits the audio signal to the camera with a Rode Link wireless transmitter. That's for easy syncing in post. Since we got 1 shot on a slider, I got the Edelkron Slider Plus with the motion control system for those ultra smooth shots. That's so cool. Now, lighting. For this project, we need a lot of lights, and fortunately, I got loads of them. Starting with the pretty cheap no-name lights from Amazon, $20 to $30 each. bicolored LEDs. Then some from the classic Young Nuo, the cheap filmmakers brand. Moving on to the higher quality ones, the Aputures. I got some Amaran 528s here, and using the newest model, the ALF7 bicolor version. I totally love them. Now, Aputure, give me those bonus points for mentioning your products. No, seriously, I love them. We also need one bigger light. And I got this bomber here. It's the PixPro LED 100T. T stands for tungsten. And it's a big 100 watt single LED chip light. It's the equivalent of the Aputure 120D. And last but not least, we got some cool effect lighting here. This is for this light bulb is just for standard household sockets, and it gives this cool fire effect. Ha, that's pretty cool. Yeah, and that's it for gear. We shot the video in the parking lot in front of my house, parking the car in the middle, so we had access to all sides. I had a phone call with the local fire department in the afternoon, since we would use a fogger and simulate fire later on, and I did not want to cause panic to the neighborhood. Here's how we lit the first scene. Two heavily diffused battery bicolor LED lights were rigged in the car right in front of the actors on the dashboard. They were set to the same color temperature as the camera's white balance, which was 4600K. This provided enough room for the other lights to be either colder or warmer as this base lighting. In front of the car's right side we placed two Aputure AL528s, with each red and a green gel. One of them was bounced into a reflector later. On the left we used an ALF7 set to 3200 Kelvin mounted to a boom pole to simulate passing streetlights. Behind the truck's rear window we hung some blue screen and illuminated it with another ALF7. We couldn't use green screen because of the green gel simulating the traffic light. Way off to the left side we placed the tungsten-colored PixPro with a Fresnel attachment to represent warm sunlight. To pull all the strings together we needed precise choreography and perfect timing. And that's how it all looked like. Here you can see one person hiding behind the blue screen to wiggle the car, while another one is standing in front of it, simulating oncoming traffic with another ALF7.
Holy moly! Oh, what a beautiful sunrise. It's not the sunrise. It's a meteorite. What? No! Ah!
It took around 10 attempts until we finally nailed it and could move on to the next scene. For that we had to rebuild the set a bit, since I was going for a pretty flat but dreamy look. Reflectors were placed all around the car and illuminated with the Aputure AL528s, so they appeared blown out in camera. No additional lights were used to light the actors, since there was enough bouncing around. White balance was set to the white of the reflectors. The camera was mounted on the Edelchrome slider, which gave us pretty smooth results. In the final scene, we had to recreate a blazing firestorm. Our main lights were 2 effect bulbs for standard household sockets, which we placed as close to the actors as possible, since they were not really bright. Still, we had to crank up the ISO to 10,000. Fog was blown in front of the car with a ventilator. For the lightning effect, we placed an AL528 far to the left and had one person play with the dimmer. As we planned to have some rain falling on the car from a garden hose, we placed the Pixel Pro LED with a Fresnel attachment in the back, since backlit rain is far more visible in camera.
This is a total nightmare. I had completely underestimated the whole green screen process in post. For a good green screen effect, you need to have a flat, wrinkle-free, evenly lit surface that's not too close to the actors, so there won't be any spill. And also you should avoid high ISO settings and use a good codec. The higher the color resolution is, the better your key will be in the end. Now look at our footage. There are wrinkles everywhere. Then we got a brighter surface on the left side, then there are some darker areas here, and it's way too close to the actors, so there's blue spill on the edges. Oh, Smoke, go on. There's blue spill all around the edges and everywhere in the interior. I'm not sure if this video is doable anymore. So, after a tremendous amount of work, I was finally able to pull quite a solid key. Unfortunately, the key removed other parts of the image as well, such as the rain and the smoke that was in front of the car, as well as the drops on the window. So I had to replace them artificially, which was quite tedious work. The back plates I shot with the camera mounted to the back of my car. And it was a bit tricky to match my driving to the actual action in the footage. But it turned out convincing, I guess. So in the end, it turned out better than I had initially expected. I'm quite happy.
So what did I learn from this video? First of all, knowledge is king. The more you know about the things you do, the less problems you will encounter. Number two, there will be problems, but it's all about how you solve them. There is almost always a solution to a problem. Be creative. The limitations are just in your head. And finally, don't forget to have fun. I definitely had a blast filming this video with my friends, and I'm already looking forward to the next one. So I hope this whole behind the scenes video was useful for you as well. And maybe we will see each other in a future project. Till then, have a nice day. Goodbye.